Hi guys, so in this video I'm going to show how I scratch built this Robocop sort of style vehicle, and obviously it's going to be piloted by Dave the Crazy Orc. And there we go, I'm really pleased with this one. I'm really pleased with how the rust effect came out, so I'll be showing that later. So I mentioned in my previous scratch build video I didn't really have many sort of small bits and pieces to make things with. One of my kind patrons sent me this bag of Stormtrooper Bits. Unfortunately, they didn't put their name on the letter, so I can't actually thank them. But yeah, you know who you are, so thank you for sending this in. Obviously, I'm not going to build this Stormtrooper, but there's certainly plenty of bits here which are pretty good. So with this build, I'm going to start from the bottom and work my way up. And yeah, I've been raiding my son's little toy box again, making sure he doesn't obviously want these pieces. And I've got a variety of bits and pieces. So yeah, these are going to be the feet. So again, this is basically going to be loosed on the ED209. Basically the big robot from Robocop, basically. Just 'cause I think he's nice and chunky looking. So yeah, loosely based on that. And again, starting at the bottom, well, as you can see, chopping bits up. Basically, I've got these round bits I can make as feet, and these other little bits are going to be like the toes coming off of it. I think the original ED209's got three of these big toes, I'm not too sure. But obviously I've only got enough toys to make 2 on either foot. But there you go, yeah, so there's bits of the leg, and obviously you can see bits of the Stormtrooper that I'm using. And obviously I'm going to make somewhere for my little Crazy Dave the Orc to sit. So I'm thinking about using one of these, I think there's a Kinder Egg little cup thing, I'm not too sure. But basically my kids, whenever they get sweets and bits and pieces, they're now sort of saving any plastic, well, anything plastic really, just so I can use to make stuff with. So I was always having problems in the past with my glue coming out exceedingly fast. So as you can see, I've now got a long nozzle attached to it, which is pretty cool, because you can buy those as a pack of 50, I think it was, from Amazon. And yeah, it works really well, because obviously the glue comes out a nice thin line, and basically it doesn't go everywhere, which it used to. So as well as trying to keep all plasticky kind of things, I'm basically keeping anything now. And this is an old flexible metal pipe, not too sure where this came from actually. But yeah, I've had it for a while, so it'll be good for this. Obviously a little bit tricky to cut, but using my little sort of Dremel tool, it's not too bad. Obviously I've got to be careful I don't get my fingers in this, because obviously this thing does sort of flex about and move a bit. But a bit of persistence, a bit of taking care, and yeah, there you go. So that's come off, so I'm going to make a couple of these, and they can just sort of fit in there as though they're some sort of part of the hydraulics for the leg, basically. As this is obviously going to be some sort of like Orc vehicle in the end, I've got my little Orc bits box, well, not necessarily Orc, but the Warhammer sort of stuff. So yeah, I'm going to pull out a few bits and pieces from this. Basically, I want to get some weapons on this, but I'm not too sure if I want to go crazy weapons or just a few weapons. Because I quite like the look of him, and I quite like the idea of him just having a few weapons. But I will eventually build something that is going to be full of Dakar and just be mental looking. But yeah, so for this one, I'm just going to keep it quite simple, a few little weapons, but obviously definitely a few little orky bits, which is obviously sharp and pokey generally. So my next scratch built project is going to be some sort of terrain of some sort. So if you guys have got any ideas or what kind of terrain you'd like me to build, leave it in the comments, and maybe I'll have a go at making whatever you suggest. So here's a few more of those Stormtrooper bits. Obviously, one thing I do love, and I love big shoulder pads, which is kind of why I like knights, because of their armour, and especially the big bulky armour. So that's the one thing I do like about Space Marines, actually, is the fact that obviously they do have big bulky armour, big shoulder pads, and yeah, they look beefy. So that's kind of what I want to go for here, is the beefy look. And there we go, he's pretty much all done now. I'm kind of pleased with how he's looking. So he got a few little machine guns on there, a couple of little rocket launchers. Nothing too excessive, but yeah, it looks good. Crazy Dave seems happy, and yeah, it's kind of how I wanted it to look. It does look like the ED209 robot thingy, and yeah, so obviously sprayed it grey, and it definitely comes together now. It looks really good, but this is obviously where I normally mess up. But I'm going to turn it into a sort of a rust buckety kind of thing, as that generally hides any imperfections. But this time, rather than sort of starting with the rust effect, I'm basically going to paint the whole thing so it looks sort of clean and cool and whatever. And I'm going to use this sort of like teal colour, but it's kind of like a shiny teal. So I'm going to paint the whole thing in this first, and then I'm going to apply some rust effects towards the end. So yeah, keep watching for that, guys, because I'm really pleased with how the rust actually came out on this little build, which for me is quite surprising for me to say I actually enjoyed well, I enjoyed painting it and I enjoyed the final look. And there we go, there's one nice shiny looking robot straight off the production line. Obviously it won't be staying this later on. So the other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go around now and just paint anything that's kind of like Orky on here in red. So it'll look like this vehicle was once owned by someone else. Orcs came along and did the usual, converted it, took it over, and just basically plastered loads of Orky bits on it. So people keep asking me, will I make anything that isn't sort of to do with Orcs? And the answer is, yeah, I will. It just happens though that most of the stuff I've got, as in figures, are Orcs, which is kind of why I sort of build things for the figures that I've got. But yeah, I mean, if you guys want to send me some figures that aren't Orcs, I'll happily have a go at making terrain and vehicles for them. So yeah, there we go. So you'd say I've painted everything now in the colours, and it does look far too clean and tidy. So now we're going to apply the rust effect, and my sort of go-to method for this is getting some good old grout and then basically mixing it with some dark brown paint. That way when you apply this, it has a good texture to it, which I think comes out really well. And the best way to apply this isn't to use a brush, but to use this sponge, which I can sort of dab into the paint. And then basically, I dab that over the vehicle or whatever it is. I want a rust effect too. Yeah, no real pattern to this. I try and get in any like nooks and crannies because I think they'd probably rust first. Definitely around the edges. But yeah, basically just go sort of kind of mad and put it everywhere, like I have here. Well, obviously at the moment it looks more like a dog's pooped on it. But yeah, so now I'm going to go around and obviously say this thing's looking far too neat and tidy. I want this to have more of a weathered look, a used look. Basically just distressed. So yeah, good old black wash, and as everyone knows, I really just chuck this stuff on. But obviously I will just go over then and dab bits off. So yeah, so stay in the nooks and crannies and a few extra areas. But it definitely looks more weathered now, a bit darker looking. And it looks like this machine's actually seen some action, which is good. So I'll continue that process of painting the black wash on and then basically sort of like dabbing it off with a cloth. And I'll do that to the whole vehicle, just so it all looks uniformed and sort of like the same. So now it's well and truly looking weathered and distressed. I'm now going to go over all those rust areas with some Vallejo rust effect wash, basically. And I say this is great stuff because obviously it's nice and watery, so it kind of like goes on and then it's all like just sort of drips around a bit, which is pretty cool. So I'm really pleased with how this is coming out, and I'm kind of thinking this is how I'm going to do my rust effects from now on, just because I love the build up of using the grout in the paint, just so it does give it a lot of texture. So yeah, he's pretty much done now, so I'm going to do the base. I wasn't really too sure what I was going to do, which is why I kind of left it to the end. But then I thought I'm going to keep it nice and simple, and I've got these little stones. I think they're the fish tank stones, I'm not too sure where I got these from actually. So yeah, so basically I'm just going to put these on the bottom. I'm not going to bother painting them because they've got a bit of variety in the colour. And yeah, there's no real reason to paint them, to be honest, because I'd only mess that up unless I painted it as a rust effect, which wouldn't really work too well. So yeah, just going to paint some PVA on the base, and then I can just sprinkle the little stones all over it, basically. Nice and simples. Don't forget, guys, let me know in the comments what sort of terrain you'd like me to build, or what faction you want me to build, or what sort of style of thing you want me to build, basically. So yeah, there we go, he's pretty much done. I'm just going to go over now and do a light brush with some silver, just to catch the edges, and some raised bits of the rust as well, actually. So this will make it look like it's been knocked about a bit. And yeah, I say I'm really pleased with how this has come out. Again, I've actually had fun with the painting of this, and I think that is more the case of when you don't try too hard and you have fun with the painting, somehow it seems to come out better than if you try really, really hard, and yeah, basically you don't enjoy it. So yeah, so the last few things to do, obviously just going to add a few little wires in here, just because obviously these are meant to be like movable leg joints. So yeah, and wires just obviously help things, don't they? Especially if they're going to be sci-fi-ish kind of looking. Okay, now to roll the glamour shots. So So I'm really pleased with how the rust effect came out on this little chap, and I'll definitely be doing the same sort of rust effect on basically whatever terrain I build next time. So let me know in the comments, guys, what terrain it is you'd like me to build. As always, guys, it'd be great if you could hit the like button, leave a comment down below, and share this video on any social media you have, just to help support the channel and help it grow. If you are new here and you like what I do, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell to be informed of all the new videos that come out. As always, guys, a big thank you to all my patrons for helping support the channel, as without their help I'm not sure I'd be able to keep making videos. So if you want to help support the channel and see some behind the scenes stuff that doesn't get seen on YouTube, then click on the link and go and check it out. There is also another video on the screen, guys, why not click on that, see more of what I do. Okay guys, bye for now.